Hi everybody, how's it going? My name is Cam and I'm joined by my good buddy Skylar,
How's it going?
and we are here to talk about Clone Wars.
It's finally happened.
Season 7 has finally happened.
Oh man.
We're so excited. We already watched the first episode.
Yes.
I watched
Bad
it.
Batch.
Bad Batch, yes. I watched it Friday, the release day, during break at work.
Nice. See, I had Friday off, so I was waiting, I think till midnight on Thursday, trying to see if it was gonna get on the stream on Disney Plus, but sadly I had to wait until morning. But
yeah. I did that for Mandalorian.
Yeah.
All right. Before we actually talk about the episode itself, what's your history with Clone Wars? They already know my history. What's your history with Clone Wars?
So my history with Clone Wars is that I've been watching it ever since it came out, and
Did you see the movie in theaters?
I did see the movie in theaters. I actually saw it with my brother, and I've been watching it ever since it came out, and I think around season 4 is when I bought some of the DVDs. So just the whole idea of expanding on a universe that you grew up with is something that kind of already was captivating. But the Clone Wars itself, I mean, there's not a lot of stories that's been told about that.
No, there really isn't.
So I think it was really cool for me just to see Dave Filoni and all of the other people behind the Clone Wars, making these unique stories and just putting it into a show. So
Yeah. I saw the movie in theaters as well. I saw it with my brother and my dad. But when we got the tickets and we arrived, there were so many people there to see the movie that we had to sit in the front row.
Yeah.
Very front row, right in front of us. So
rows
we're
are
sitting here
worse.
looking up at the screen. My dad didn't want to do it, but I'm staring like Star Wars. And that movie came out in, what was it, 07?
I want to say either 07 or 09.
It was pretty, we were little.
Can we ask Siri? I think we should ask Siri.
Alright.
I'm not exactly sure.
Hey Siri, when was Star
Hello?
Wars...
What can I do for you?
Don't interrupt me.
There you go.
When was Star Wars The Clone Wars released?
Which one?
2008.
Dude, we were both off.
We were both a year off.
Yeah.
So,
Well, whatever.
2008, so that was 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were...
I was 10.
You were 10? I was 9.
Dude.
We were so little.
I mean, that's part of the experience, though, growing up with it, thinking it's the best thing.
It was the best thing. What do you mean thinking it was? It is.
Watching it now, there's a lot of flaws.
I mean, yeah.
I love it. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but...
I mean, it's got its Jar Jar episodes and stuff like that, but they're still kind of funny. Jar Jar works better as a cartoon than he does as live action.
Well, he was made to make...
He was made for
laugh.
kids. Yeah. And even, he still makes me laugh today, but it's more just like...
I guess.
Oh my god, Jar Jar. Alright, but enough about all that. The Bad Batch. First episode of the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Your just general overall thoughts of the episode. What did you think?
So, before my general thoughts, I think I need to make it aware that I did see the uncut footage.
I have seen bits of the uncut version.
So, knowing kind of what happens.
Yeah.
So, I watched some of the uncut footage. I didn't see all of it.
Yeah.
But seeing how the animation has progressed since season 1 to now,
Oh my, it's
fantastic.
It's so good.
So
It's so good.
seeing all when they're coming out of the ship, and you see each of their individual faces, and you can tell that while they are clones,
Some of them almost didn't even look like the normal. Like they have their deformities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the tech guy, what was his name?
I think he was just called Tech.
Was it just Tech?
Yeah.
Yeah. He when I first saw him, he looks nothing like a clone. Like Hunter looked like a clone.
I think he actually resembles the most.
He does. He's like a Rambo clone. That's what I saw him as. And then we had Wrecker, who's the big guy.
Yeah. The guy who talks like this.
The cavalry has arrived.
Yeah, that guy.
And then the sharpshooter, he had the least to say. I can't remember his name.
Crosshair.
I'm gonna look it up. It's been a couple days since we saw the episode.
Yeah. But I think seeing that it's the final footage now,
Mhm.
everything's finished, the editing, the trimming and all that stuff, you have like a base layer of what a clone looks like, and then you have their own individual twist from being misfits, right?
Mhm.
Wrecker is a lot wider. He has a much more like aggressive kind of stance.
Crosshair.
Yeah.
And we were right. The tech guy, Tech.
Yeah.
Hunter and Wrecker. Yes, we got them all right.
Yeah. So, but I think it's really unique seeing that they have their own individual personalities, which awesome part of the Clone Wars to begin with. But you also see their misformities and everything that makes them who they are. And so they also have individualized armor. There's a couple of Easter eggs that we could talk about too.
Did you catch the episode 4 reference?
I did not.
There was a lines of dialogue from droids. Like, do you have any idea what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
Oh, yes.
Straight from Stormtroopers from episode 4.
In the Death Star, yeah.
I'll play the clips here.
Do you know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
You know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
But when I heard that, I was just sitting there. I'm like, ha ha ha.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said episode 4, I was trying to think of like what season episode 4 someone said that, but you meant episode.
Star Wars episode 4, A New Hope, yeah.
I promise. I'm a fan.
You did.
But, yeah, so when they're coming out of the ship, I mean, you have no idea who these guys are, but automatically you're just drawn to them. Like, you want to know more about them from their differences.
Yeah, and the name of their squad, Experimental Squad 99, named after 99, the Bad Batch maintenance clone from the Camino invasion, who tragically died that episode. And he was such a sad scene, but he's such an awesome character.
He is.
He only had like 2 episodes on screen. But yeah, I unfortunately, kind of like you, saw some of the old footage. I knew Echo was alive.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that much of a shock to me. But I can imagine for some people who haven't seen it, they're like, what? Because if you remember the way he died, he blew up.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the Bad Batch squad themselves. What do you think of each character and their abilities?
I really like Tech.
Tech was very
But Tech, he brings a lot to the battlefield. He knows a lot of languages.
He does.
And the fact that he can translate with his visor on spot, I think is really cool.
Another thing that they did, their tactic of fighting, he was calculating like the throw radius
angle.
and stuff like that, so that Crosshair could shoot the popper out of the air. Which I feel like, this is just me, but I feel like the droid poppers are kind of inconsistent with their range, because sometimes it gets like a couple of droids, but this one took out like whole squads.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they have like special poppers.
I don't know. Well, I mean, he could have modified them.
He could have.
That's also an outlet that he could have taken advantage of with his advances in that kind of technology.
And so we can lead on to talking about Crosshair, who I thought had the least amount of character in this episode. He was just kind of he had like I said, he was pretty snippy.
Yeah.
He had that. I think he was the first. No, it was Wrecker that made the first reference to Regs. But the scene where they're at the campfire, he flicks his little toothpick at Jesse.
Yeah. When
they really expound on, we don't really work with regs.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't really hoping for like a division between the clones, but it also, I have a theory for what's gonna happen later in the season.
Okay.
But it helps kind of bridge this gap between, because it's the quote at the beginning of the episode, don't think differently of those who are different. Because, that's mean.
Yeah.
but it's gonna help grow these 2 squads together. And my theory, it's just a theory right now, but I think what's going to happen is if they were bred, despite their deformities, if they were bred like normal clones, they're gonna have those chips in their head. So I think what we're gonna see throughout this season is we're gonna see these 2 squads, Rex and these clones, grow together and be more like brothers.
Yeah.
But then Order 66 is going to come around. Rex is going to obviously somehow get his chip out, and he's going to have to kill his brother. He's going to kill the Bad Batch, named after Squad 99, one of the coolest clones. Like, I think it's gonna be real rough to watch
on a kid show.
They've done darker stuff.
I know, but
we had like I'm trying to.
That's some dark crap.
We've had some witchcraft in this show, man. We've had Maul decapitating people.
Yeah. Well,
Remember,
I mean, it was off screen,
not an uncut version. So I think they might. I think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's a good theory, but honestly, I don't know.
You think that's too dark for a show like this?
I don't think it's too dark, but I don't know if it'll happen because I feel like once, again, spoilers. I don't know if they'll leave if they get back with Echo. I mean, because that's not their only mission.
Mm-hmm.
So the war's still going on. They may have orders to go somewhere else, but
Maybe
I don't know.
it could happen. Like, I mean, the show definitely matured as its audience grew up. So like the audience that watched this show now, most of us are adults.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're going to be afraid to do something like that.
Yeah.
Back on topic again.
Yeah. So
With Crosshair.
To me, I think his character will get more fleshed out as the episodes progress.
Mm-hmm.
But already you can tell that he's very much more reserved than any other of the Bad Batch clones.
That was like the first thing they said about him is like he doesn't talk much.
Yeah, and I mean, even if they didn't have that dialogue, you can just tell by his body posture and the way that he's looking at these regular clones.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it may just have been from the fact that he and the Bad Batch may have gotten some backlash of being
different
deformities and different from what the army was supposed to be like, what they were intentionally
unorthodox
supposed to
strategies.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, they may keep that secret hidden of why he's against working with regulars, but I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. I don't have anything.
Yeah, I don't hate any of the Bad Batch.
Yeah. Good.
And now we'll move on to Wrecker,
Oh
the muscle. I like Wrecker, though. I think like what deformity did he get to where he gets Captain America strength?
He's basically Donkey Kong. Just stupid and muscular and
boom.
Yeah. We're going down.
That was awesome.
I will say, seeing that in the uncut version, I think is funnier just because all of their mouths are just sewn shut.
Yeah, they're not even. They don't walk around. They just they walk in a T-pose.
So all you see is, we're going down.
Yeah,
but I have no idea why he's so
strong,
powerful.
Yeah, he lifted an entire gunship.
Yeah. And those LAATs, I think that's what they're
I
called.
believe so.
But those gunships, they're not light.
No, they're not.
Right? They can carry in one of those heavy armored tanks. My acronyms are off, so this is all you.
Yeah, the walkers.
Yeah. So we didn't have any notes or anything. So
no, like we're not hardcore fans, but we really do love the show. Like, if you were to ask me about like the movies and like character moments and music and stuff like that, I could name them on the spot. But if you ask me to like, what's the name of Anakin's gunship? The yellow one. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't study this crap.
Anyway, Wrecker.
Yes, he's definitely the child of the group. He's definitely the kid. He because
Donkey Kong.
Because you could tell by the way that Hunter spoke to him whenever he picked up Jesse.
Yeah.
He's like, he spoke to him like he was a little kid. He's like, hey, down.
Yeah.
Put him down. He's like, ah. And now we finally got Hunter, who his ability was interesting. He's able to like detect like vibrations in the earth, but it can like he can span the whole planet. Which I was like, what kind of mutation did he get that allows him to do that?
It's like a Rambo and Scooby-Doo mix. You get the looks, the power, and the wit and everything.
It's
but then
shaggy.
and then you get the the smelling capabilities.
I don't think it was
Scooby-Doo.
I don't think it was smelling. When they were before the campfire scene, when he was sitting on the ground, it looked like he was like feeling the earth, like he's feeling the vibration. Like
I'm pretty sure he took a couple sniffles in there.
he could have done that too. I don't know, but
that's why I say
it's a very interesting ability.
Yeah, for sure.
Which they basically summed it up as like, yeah, maps can be wrong, but he never is.
Yeah, he can sense the electronic waves in the air or something like that. But
yeah,
it was pretty cool.
It was very cool. The armor still kind of carried over from the last season, but I mean it's still very very close.
The thing that changed is Jesse and Kix.
Jesse is an ARC trooper now.
Yeah. When did that happen?
I don't know, man. I mean they lost their last ARC troopers. They lost 5-7. They thought they lost Echo.
Yeah.
So they always gotta, like, when they think a clone is ready, they'll upgrade him to a ARC trooper.
I don't know how that works because I'm not that familiar with canon and how the ARC trooper program goes about selecting its candidates and everything. From what I know is that they did all that like kind of during episode 2, before episode 2. They had a couple of other Mandalorian warriors come in and teach them. And these are the clones that have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
And as you see Jesse and Kix and Fives, Echo, you know, they all start to develop their own personalities and think outside the box.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool seeing Jesse becoming that kind of elite trooper.
And after Umbara, he deserves it.
Yeah.
That arc was crazy, man.
Yeah. Jesse is an ARC trooper. Kix, he grew hair, and he's his tattoos now.
I didn't see a lot of Kix. I don't remember a lot of him.
He's the medic guy.
He was the medic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really. I was primarily focused on trying to learn about the Bad Batch and kind of look at their design and stuff like that. I didn't see a whole lot of Kix, and since it's been a while since I've seen the show, I forgot kind of what he looked like.
Yeah. He was bald.
He was, as most of the troopers are.
I forget the language, but he had like 2 or 3. I think it might have been 2.
Is that the Star Wars language? Is it Orbesh? I've got a card somewhere that has like translations and stuff.
Sure, but he had, I think, like 2 lines with the language going across his head right here, and then I think 1 or 2 on the same exact side or the opposite side. But I don't know why the animators decided to give him hair. I don't know if that's something to do with just clones being more uniform again, I guess. I don't know.
Or maybe it's to tell like how much time has passed since we last saw him.
I guess.
But then again, why wouldn't he shave it? I don't know.
I try to think of other hidden messages behind like the first layer of what you're seeing. So it could be that the Republic is trying to make their troopers more uniform, and but I don't know.
So that's the Bad Batch, talking about the squad itself.
Yeah.
What about the planet? I forgot the name of the planet, but what did you think of like its design and how it's like a big crystal that like could break up? Because like if you watch when it crashes, it's it's all like crystal and it's like shattering, and you see like the droid ships and transports going through like the tree line and stuff like that, just shattering everything.
Yeah. I think it's very unique.
It's a very
the way
unique.
the designers went with making this world. It kind of reminded me, when you were just talking about the ship crashing, it reminded me a lot of Episode 8, whenever the rebels or the resistance goes to their old hideout, and it's like what, salt? Yeah. And
salt.
So, yeah. I don't know if there's such a thing as purple salt in Star Wars.
It didn't seem like salt. It just genuinely seemed like a big crystal planet, because I remember I watched the video that it kind of did a breakdown of the episode, and it's apparently the same episode it's the same planet from in Rebels, whenever Ezra and Kanan go into like this hangar with all these like nocturnal creatures with glowing eyes are in there, and they're trying to get something. Yeah. You see some of those creatures in the background, so I guess it's the same planet, and I guess it later breaks into like an asteroid field, which is interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the planet, but it is a very unique planet that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, a lot of vibrant colors, and
a lot of purple and pink.
Yeah, the whole scene. The animation just looks fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So, another thing that's changed,
Mhm.
and that's interesting with the design change, is the droids. They, I guess you could put a picture up to let them know what I'm talking about. But the droids, if you look, I mean, even from season 1 to season 6, the droids all looked the same,
Mhm.
right? And now with season 7, they resemble a lot more of what they're supposed to look like. Like the eyes are more on like the sides, like a fish, right? They're not really more focused towards the center. So they have a more sloped design. And that's just the battle droids.
Mhm.
The super battle droids, they look a lot more like they do in the movies. They, instead of being very broad
Mhm.
and very humpy, I'm running out of adjectives to describe this. They have a little bit more slender design, but they're still remaining their like, bulk selves.
I'll definitely have to look at that in post. I'm just so used to seeing them that I guess it just didn't click with me.
Yeah. My adjectives and my imagery is probably not giving this the most accurate and best description.
That's why we're putting stuff here.
I guarantee you that if you look at the designs for the battle droid and the super battle droid, I don't know about the spider droid. That's the only thing I'm not sure of. But I know for those two that the design has changed. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know why it's changed, but I did notice that.
And you actually just reminded me of something. I think we see Vibro Blades used a bit more, like the knife. It's kind of like a Vibro Blade of sorts, because you saw them using them to like stab droids and stuff like that. Like I think the only time we ever see Vibro Blades is from the commando droids with their swords.
Mm-hmm.
But we see like a vibro knife kind of sort of.
Yeah.
And you see a lot more of it in action now, and they use it like a combat knife. Like you see them like stabbing them in the back, stab the spider droid in the eye, shut it down. Like
the way these guys fight is very different.
Very different. They're a lot more
regular.
They're a lot more fluid and agile, because clones are usually just kind of standing out in the open and just walking forward and shooting.
Again, horrible strategy.
Well, a lot of people think of them as expendable, just like the droids. It's like, we made them. I mean, we can just make more. That's what the other people think of it, but we're sitting there like, no, the clones.
Clone boys' lives matter.
And that reminds me of another. Speaking of the fighting, there are the two fight scenes that we get in this, or the 3 fight scenes. I want to talk about 2 of them.
Okay.
So we already kind of discussed the Bad Batch's new strategy and their unorthodox ways of fighting the droids and stuff like that, because they use part of the gunship as like a shield.
Yeah.
And I think it's called like the shockwave formation or
something
like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the second fight that I began to realize that a lot of the guns sound a little different. Like the pistols have a very different sound.
Yeah.
And obviously the Bad Batch, they have different weapons, so they sound a lot different. But that fight scene where they attack that outpost.
Yeah.
No music. And it's just Skywalker Sound. You just hear silent fighting. Yeah. It sounded so freaking good, man.
Again, the team has done a fantastic
They really
job
have.
With the sound, the audio, I mean, everything. Like, they're a lot more punchy, I guess is the best way to describe it.
They're very up close and personal. Yeah. They love getting in close to these droids.
Yeah. I think a good example of that is whenever the clone Cut LaQuaine in the episode The Deserter, when they're defending against the what was it, like the 10 or 12 commando droids
that were damaged from a falling ship, and they're kind of like zombies.
Yeah, and Rex is using his pistol. It's kind of just weak sounding. And
it's
again, and it's a pistol, but still, you know,
he uses them all the time.
Yeah, in this universe where he's taking him like turrets out at the second battle of Geonosis with his 2 pistols, firing as fast as he can. You know, you would think that the audio team would have developed a more punchy, more aggressive sound. So to hear that change and just hear those changes and no music or anything,
it's great. I might put in like a couple of clips, just like comparing the sounds and stuff like that. But it's I kind of grew used to the old sound of the pistol. Yeah. But I think I prefer this new sound.
Yeah. Change is good.
Change is very good.
Yeah.
And that leads me talking about the second fight, which after now that I'm taking film classes, I watch films and TV a lot differently, and something that I began to notice that a lot of shows and movies like to do is after I first realized this with Daredevil.
Okay.
Their one shot in the hallway, iconic. Like usually when people think of Daredevil, that's one of the first things I think of is this really excellently made one shot fight in the hallway. And ever since then, I began to and after taking film classes, I start to notice these one shots more and more, and they're my favorite kinds of scenes because the amount of time and choreography and planning that it takes to do a one shot is crazy. And it's not nearly as crazy to do in an animation, but it costs a lot more. But when that fight scene started, and it's the Bad Batch going through the back door, and they're fighting through the droids, that is an amazing one-shot fight scene.
Yeah.
Because you're following the perspective of the Bad Batch the entire time. Again, it's almost... I can't remember if it was silent or not, if there was music.
There might have been music.
There might have been some music, but you get to see everything that these guys are doing. And it was... I can't describe in words how amazing it was. But it was so good. It was so freaking good, and it just brought this big smile on my face because it costs so much money to do something like that. Because the longer that a shot has to render, the more expensive it is to make. Yeah. And that was like a minute and a half long one shot.
This is a decent amount of time.
It was a decent amount of time. It's episode 1.
Yeah.
This is episode 1.
They're going all out.
They're going all out. They got to get us hooked. And I'm like, I'm hooked. I'm in. I was hooked when they got announced. I think one of the last things that we can really talk about was the reveal of Echo being alive. Yeah. Now, we discussed it earlier. He was in an explosion. Yeah. Like a rough-looking explosion that should have killed him.
You would think that the only thing that's left was his helmet. Yeah. And that's the thing that they shown, but I mean, just the kind of damage that he must have taken. Yeah. So there's like nothing left.
Obviously, like they're somehow keeping him alive and getting the clone troops tactics and stuff. Yeah. From his head. How much of him do you think there still is? Because I think we're gonna be having a Vader type situation where he's more machine than man now.
Yeah. Well, logistically speaking, his mind is obviously still intact. Yes. So, to answer your question, I think maybe it is similar to an Anakin Vader kind of thing where the waist up is all that's left. But I don't know. I mean, I know what I've seen in the uncut footage, but I'm trying to look at this from a perspective where I haven't seen that footage before. And all I know is that Rex is speculating that Echo is alive. There is a CT number.
CT 1409.
Yeah, and that's his number.
That's his number.
And so, basing it off of that, like, yeah, there's hope that he's alive and that he's intact. How much? Again, not knowing what happened in the uncut versions, it's undetermined. Yeah,
I'm imagining that he's kind of like missing a lot of himself, a lot of physical parts of himself, in a back to tank with a bunch of tubes going into his head and his nose and stuff like that. And I don't know if they could have done some weird experiments or mutations on him to get into his head. Yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of what I'm imagining what's going on with him. But this leads to my second question. Do we think that he's going to come back? Because I think if he was to come back, he could be a potential member, a potential 5th member for the Bad Batch. Because while Rex and some other clones might see him as too far gone, the Bad Batch might see him as like, no, he's just different like us. He still has uses that can help us. Yeah. Or do you think that it's going to be a false hope for Rex, and he's going to, like my theory earlier, put down a brother that he thought he had lost?
Honestly, I don't think that he would be a part of either party. I don't think that he could be in the Bad Batch because logistically speaking, he has to meet a physical standard, right? And getting used to prosthetics, while it's not like it is now, it's very much advanced. I think you would still take a decent amount of time for him to get used to the new body that he's in, and retaining his tactical memory and being able to perform well in the field. I don't think that's doable for him anymore.
Well, he doesn't necessarily have to still be a field trooper. He could be kind of like the tactical droids that the droids have. They stay behind. They do a lot of the brain work, the strategizing and stuff like that. That could be something that he does if he is brought back.
Yeah, definitely. But I think for now, I really don't see him participating anymore in the war, just because of the timeline that we're dealing with, and also the amount of time that it would take to mentally get him back to where he needs to be, to even not even be a field operator, but just be a tactical advisor or someone working in logistics or communications. I think it would take a decent amount of time to bring him back. So to answer your question, I don't think he'll be in the Bad Batch or work as a ARC trooper or even just a regular trooper, logistics or anything. I think he's just too far gone. But who knows? They may pull some crazy stuff.
They might. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We still gotta wait a couple of days before the next episode comes out, which we will definitely be back afterwards to give our thoughts on that episode. I'm super excited. I don't want to watch any teasers for the next episode. No. I don't want to know anything going in. I want to be completely blind. So, based on what we already know, what do you think is going to happen next?
I think that Rex is going to try to convince Anakin or the Bad Batch to come with him to try to make a rescue mission for Echo. I don't know how that's going to happen, and I really don't know how he's going to convince them, but it's going to be against the Council's orders. So that's why I think Anakin will come along, because he's proven to be a character that puts his men before like the mission, the success of the mission, right? Like you want to win the war, but not at the expense of your friends and your team. Yeah. So I think maybe there will be an opportunity for Rex to go rescue Echo, but I think the journey is going to be very challenging because they're dealing with one of the most
tactically
deadly tactical generals, I mean, ever in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, Trench will definitely be an admirable foe.
Yeah,
I think what's going to happen. Trench knows that they found where Echo is.
Yeah, he's well aware.
So what I think is going to happen is, I think that, like you said, Rex is going to try and convince some of the troops to go on to this unorthodox, possible suicide mission to go and rescue Echo, and I think that Anakin is going to try and provide a distraction with Trench, because from the trailers, we have seen that there was a clip of Anakin confronting Trench.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen.
Do you think it's an element of foreshadowing for like his dark side taking over?
I think so, because in that clip he looked mad.
Yeah.
He didn't look happy at all.
So, and again, I think that's another reason to believe that Echo is going to be found alive. Like more intact than just having his brain like mounted to a computer or something. So, you know,
like
yeah.
But that I don't think it'll be that far either. But I think we're definitely gonna find him alive.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever done a video like this with another person, so there's gonna be some kinks. We're still working it out, but. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Skylar, you've been quite the guest.
Cheers.
And
it's Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, and we'll see y'all next time.